Our guest this morning, Minister Haleem Asadi. Minister Asadi, what is the Jews not telling people? What were you going to say at 3801?
Mrs. Mason, inasmuch as you have invited me here, I'm going to release one part of it.
Please do.
And I want to, I'm going to talk in a cover language in a sense, because there's some information that can benefit both black and Jewish people. There is in the news now, you're finding that the state of Israel is about to receive $10 billion from this country. $10 billion. Parts of this money comes out of the tax-paying dollars of the black communities. And in as much as this Jewish nation has convinced this government of something, they have made this government believe something about them. Thus, this government feels obligated, in as much as this is a Christian government, it feels obligated to support them to the tune of $10–20 billion.
And this is B as in billion.
Yes. Therefore, there's an injustice being done to the black man and woman. For those same tax dollars is not used for their behalf, or in their behalf, it's nearly used against them. So this is a gross wrong. This is a gross wrong in as much as a nation of black people is being harmed, unbeknown to many of them. And this is a part reason why we have such a airtight case going to the UN for reparations. That is also part, or that was information contained in my lecture. In as much as the lecture is that important, in my view, I have asked Silas Muhammad to come give the lecture himself. He has asked me to change the title. Has the truth been hidden? From Are the Jews hiding the truth to Has the truth been hidden? He's asked me, and I've already done this, to invite some Jewish representatives from different organizations
to come to
a front seat. Yes, ma'am. Reverend Allen has already promised to be there. So, but he has promised.
He's a joke.
Yes.
Anyway.
But anyway, so what we're working on now is rescheduling.
Why then are you accusing the Jews by saying, are the Jews telling the truth? Why not is the federal government telling you the truth?
Well,
I mean, you can't blame the Jewish people from getting all they can get for their nation. You blame the black folks down there we send in Washington for not getting what they can get for our nation.
Yes, ma'am. When you're probing an issue like this, Ms. Mason, you have to raise an on-point question first, because subsequently we might relieve that in are all Jews to some Jews. That will be relieved along the way.
So when you ask the question, are the Jews, was it hiding the truth or telling the truth?
Are Jews hiding the truth?
You're not talking about the biblical slaves, son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the identity of black people.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we are. We're probing that.
So that's the interest that I have in it. I mean, I got sense enough to know that you and I and ain't nobody else going to do nothing to stop the federal government from aiding Israel. That's why we send those elected officials down there.
Yes,
and I can't blame Arlen Specter, who is Jewish, for fighting for his country any more than I would blame Lou Blackwell for fighting for Africa.
Yes, ma'am.
So my interest stems from, I know the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I know who we are. You know, I just know that there are many blacks who don't.
Yes, ma'am. And that's where we're going, Ms. Mason.
Can we clear up another point? You have not personally heard under their own stationery and signature from the Jewish Defense League yourself.
No,
so you do not know, and I suspect this letter, and I'm not trying to defend them because they stand out. You do not know whether the Jewish Defense League even got involved in this.
That's what I was told by management. That's where I got the knowledge that the Jewish Defense League had something to do with it.
And so, not seeing their letter, maybe they had a letter different from this.
Perhaps.
We'll take a break and get our traffic and come right back to Minister Haleem Asadi. And Benet.
Mary,
last time around for you.
That's exactly right. It's probably the best one all morning. This traffic report is service of Subaru of America. Southbound Lincoln Drive traffic's a little bit backed up between the Gypsy Lane and the Kelly Drive. And Kelly Drive inbound still a little bit backed up approaching the Falls Bridge, but it is showing signs of clearing out. Westbound PA Turnpike is slow at Norristown. Southbound 95 slows between the Betsy Ross and Girard. The Schuylkill eastbound is clearing out. It does slow at the curve and at Belmont, then from Montgomery through to Girard, but that is better than what it was earlier this morning. The westbound side of 76 is slow at the curve, then for a half mile at 202. Keep in mind, in South Philly, westbound Passyunk Avenue is closed from 24th to 25th because of police investigating an early morning accident. In Bridgeport, Montgomery County, DeKalb Street has only one lane getting by in each direction between 4th and 3rd because of a tractor-trailer accident from early this morning. And in New Jersey, we're checking on the report of an accident now in West Deptford, Jessup Road near Kings Highway. 42 has cleared out. The westbound walk movement slows at the toll plaza. Same thing happening at the Ben Franklin. And then further westbound of the Ben Franklin, traffic slows at 8th and Vine. Subaru. With all-wheel drive and reliable and durable engineering, Subaru is truly what to drive. That's Metro Traffic. Have a great day. I'm Anthony Rosado for your classic station, WHAT.
And you have a greater one, my dear.
I'm going to try, Mayor.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Take care.
Okay, 6 minutes now before it's going to be 9 o'clock. A portion of this traffic report brought to you by New Jersey Pick Lottery.
Once again, another day in the lives of the lacklucksters, that harrowing couple who suffer from a lack of luck. When last we left the lacklucksters...
Margaret, I just purchased a New Jersey Pick 6 lotto ticket.
Oh, Lawrence.
Join us now as we learn if the lacklucksters are in for a change of luck.
It's time for the Pick 6 lotto drawing, Margaret. I'll switch on the television and...
At least we have the radio, Lawrence.
Luck hasn't been the lacklucksters' lot in life, but let's not leave them just yet. Because in New Jersey's Pick 6 Lotto, with a little change, you could change your luck.
Margaret, did you see the morning paper? Our 6 numbers match. We've won New Jersey's Pick 6 Lotto.
Oh, Lawrence.
Yes, if you're like the lacklucksters or not, why not play New Jersey's Pick 6 Lotto? Because with a little change, you could change your luck.
Sniff, sniff, Margaret. Is that burning toast?
5 minutes now before 9 o'clock in Philadelphia. We're talking to Minister Haleem Asadi. I think we parted clearing up the fact that the JDL, to your knowledge, has not personally called or contacted you. And I guess the strange thing one could ask is that your telephone number appeared on the posters.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyone who wanted to call you and question your topic
They could have.
could have. No one saw your speech. There were no pre-printed copies released. And so the members of the Board of Human Relations Commission, who you believe are responsible for initiating the cancellation of your renting a public hall, did not see your speech, so they could not know the contents, only the subject.
That's right.
There is no way that you were canceled because you didn't pay your money on time, or any of those such rumors that tend to filter over a microphone.
We had a contract with 3801.
A contract, and clearly.
Yes.
We're going to ask the minister if he'll stay just about 5 minutes over time because we're a little bit behind. Commercials must be done because we appreciate the fine people, the valued clients who come to WHAT, and particularly to the Mornings with Mary program. So we'll be back with him and to take your phone calls at 581-5186. Now, who do you trust when it comes to a leaky faucet? It's something that you just don't want to take lightly. If your heater goes on the blink, your drain gets clogged, I'd like you to call the contractor for Sears that I personally have been dealing with for over 20 years. Sears Plumbing, Heating, and Drain Cleaning Service is available now at 533-6100. Sears will give you a free estimate on any emergency work. They specialize in correcting city violations. Their unique drain cleaning policy is at no risk to you. If they fail to clean your clogged drain, you pay nothing. That's right, there is no charge. And by the way, all plumbing repairs can be put on your Sears charge account with no money down. If you've never had a Sears charge before, just ask your Sears representative and they'll help you apply and get one. All major credit cards and personal checks are accepted, so don't take chances selecting any contractor. This is the kind of job that has to be done right the first time. Trust Sears. Check the Donnelly directory in the white pages and find the number, or call 533-6100. Sears. Plumbing, heating, and drain cleaning needs are all taken care of by the reputable family that I've personally known for over 20 years. Call them today at 533-6100, 533-6100.
At the Community College of Philadelphia, we want to help you take control of your future, because the power to succeed is in your hands. Registration is open right now for CCP's fall semester. This is your opportunity to join the more than 300,000 successful Philadelphians who attended Community College of Philadelphia. At CCP, everyone can get a college education. The college has over 60 programs to choose from, and excellent faculty, small classes, and the lowest tuition in the city. CCP lets you study part-time or full-time at our Center City campus or one of our convenient neighborhood locations. Look around the city. You'll find CCP people everywhere, in business, science, education, healthcare, and the arts. CCP is the fastest-growing college in Pennsylvania. Put the power of the city to work for you. Register now for CCP's fall semester. Call 751-8010. That's 751-8010. Classes begin September 8th. CCP and you, the power of the city.
Have you eaten? Are you hungry? you listening to the radio? The McDonald's crew is waiting right now to take your order.
We have a new attitude for serving customers.
People come in, they want to see a friendly face, so I give them a smile.
They're cooking all your favorites.
We've got something for everybody.
And it won't cost a lot.
Prices are low down. Regular hamburger, 59 cents.
Cheeseburger, 69 cents.
Sausage biscuit,
79 cents.
Breakfast burrito, 99 cents.
McDonald's has extra value meals too, all day, every day, so you can enjoy a delicious breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
You have to make people feel good about coming into your place.
Are you still listening when you could be eating? There's a McDonald's on the way to where you're going. You might even be able to see the arches from where you are. The crew is waiting, ready to serve you.
I want my smile to be the first thing they see.
Sometimes I tell people the price and they say, that's it.
It's a good value for your dollar, so what are you waiting for? Come on in right now.
We want to keep them coming back.
That's McDonald's today. Prices may vary plus tax and participating McDonald's.
Hi. Are you attacking the singers with Mr. Ray Charles on the Diet Pepsi song, You Got the Right One, Baby, uh-huh?
Uh-huh.
Do you have any knowledge of a secret ingredient in Diet Pepsi?
Uh-huh.
An ingredient giving Diet Pepsi an unfair advantage?
Uh-huh.
Would you kindly tell us exactly what this special ingredient is?
I'm beginning to understand all this. Special one. Now, Mr. Charles, are you trying to say that the actual ingredient in Diet Pepsi is, That's right, baby.
You got the right one, baby. You got the right one, baby. Is this irrepressibly lovable, unsurpassably colorful, infinitely soulful? You got the right one, baby.
With 100% WHAT, Philadelphia.
It's 9 o'clock in Philadelphia. Good morning. You're on WHAT with Minister Asadi.
Yes, Mary. My concern is with these letters and cancellations of that particular event, especially the letter part. If these were threatening type letters, how come this hasn't been looked at by the U.S. Postal Inspector? Because if that's what was done to the Reverend who's in charge of the 3801 and to the minister, then I'm trying to figure out how come the U.S. Postal Inspector has...
I think you jumped the gun a little bit. The minister was about to address that when I took your call. So let's talk to him about it, okay?
Yes, brother. I have already turned over not only the letter that Mrs. Mason read over the air, I have turned over to the postal inspector several other threatening letters that I've gotten through the mail. And there has been some additional threatening calls that I'm still receiving. So we have already done that. One Human Relations Commission person dismissed these things as a prank, but I don't see it as a prank because a prank is something that merely a joke. But
you mean, excuse me, Minister, an official of the Human Relations Commission who's on the city payroll.
Mr. Cleet.
Mr. Cleet?
Yes.
When you showed him these
I didn't show him the copies, Mrs. Mason. Somehow everyone saw these letters, this threatening letter allegedly from the JDL.
Oh, I see.
But I didn't see these letters.
I see.
They're making comments on
they say it's a
that
prank?
they had before me.
I see.
And I wonder, here's my life has been threatening. My program has been shelved. And here's a person with the Human Relations Commission having knowledge of things that I should have a knowledge of. So I didn't get none of this information from them. This is information that's coming direct to me through my mail now at this moment.
Are you still getting threatening letters?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I received one just yesterday.
They're continuing to threaten
Yes, ma'am.
you.
I have one that...
I noticed you just showed me another one.
I don't want to... It's just...
Very off-color names.
Well, yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And that I'm a disgrace...
and these
so
people...
on and so forth.
Have you spoken publicly in Philadelphia heretofore?
I've had some public forums. But this was a citywide forum because of the information that we were going to share. Another part of that lecture...
excuse me, do you think that the message that you were going to give, since you shared just a portion of it with us, was defamatory and anti-Semitic?
No, ma'am. Here's a good... I spoke before a college group. And there was a young Jewish girl in the audience. And and some of my lecture covered some of the things in this recent lecture here. Are Jews hiding the truth? That was not the topic then. We were talking about reparation. And I illustrated some history to her that she thought were her own. And she came to me, she said, Minister Haleem, she says, I'm appalled to know that this is not my history. And she was hurt, and you can see the pain in her face, Ms. Mason. She nearly broke at the knees. And I grabbed her, I said, young lady, she was a Jewish young girl. I said, young lady, I said, your parents have played a cruel hoax on you.
Well, Minister, most of the Jewish people that I know, they know the truth about us. They know who we are.
Yes, ma'am.
And we know who they are. It's just... You don't... I wear a high.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been wearing it for 35, 40 years.
Yes,
and every now and then a Jewish person, most often a Jewish person will come to me, but every now and then one will say, ooh, do you know what that is? Well, I treat it just like it's a joke with them because I don't look like the kind of person that will wear trinkets and don't know what they are. But most often there will be people who will come up and they will, with such respect, insofar as it is mean life and what it is, and then I throw a couple little lines on them and they back up.
Yes, ma'am.
But you know, when you say that to people, I still find it very difficult to understand why a large number of the Jewish people will not admit who they know we are.
Well, here again, Ms. Mason, that is important, I think, for them to admit that, to relieve their minds. But at the same time, there's many of our people who don't know a knowledge of themselves.
Absolutely.
And I would not say that this speech was going to be a life-saving speech.
No, of course.
But it could be a speech that perhaps can be saw or seen as an instrument to lead it to
begin to turn around
a real unity. And a real unity comes with a feud with a people having a knowledge of self. The Jews are feud with a knowledge that propels them. And this is a knowledge about ourselves that we don't have. Thus, we are seen to be very disunified, and we can't come across these as divisive lines. Well, this lecture, parts of it, can introduce a doorway for us all to enter: Muslim, Baptist, Methodist, and so on.
And you know, I told Sammy Davis Jr. this one time before he died. I went to visit him at his home, and we were talking, you know, and I said, "What? You didn't have to convert, Sammy. You were born that way, you know." And he looked at me and took it as a joke, but I pulled him over in the corner, and I gave him a few little lessons.
Yes,
but I think that one of the things I hope will happen before I die is that truly black people know who they are.
Yes,
and once we know who we are, we'll be so proud of ourselves because we are a very special chosen people.
Yes,
and I keep saying this to our young girls who want to emulate white folks by doing white folks type things. That's fine if that makes you happy, but don't do it to be white-like. Do it because it's self-satisfying to you. Good morning. Logan, you're on WHAT.
Good morning, Mary, and good morning, Minister Haleem Asadi.
Good morning.
I want to make a statement. First of all, I want you to know that I agree with all your conclusions 100%. And I want to say this, that if the Reverend Allen, who is head of the Commission on Human Relations, is anything like the former Commissioner on Human Relations, Clarence Farmer, don't expect justice from that organization. And in conclusion, I want to say that I maintain that the reason these people who call themselves Jews are involved in African-American organizations is just so they can apply that kind of pressure they apply to you to keep us from knowing the truth, which will set us free. And they do this by threatening to withdraw their financial support, and of course, those organizations will comply.
Sister, let me ride on that thought. This is what I have said to myself, just as an individual, that I will stand up for, because I am absolutely sick to my stomach to see the powerless condition that our men, especially our men, thereby the image of manhood is not exemplary to our children and our young. And I'm tired of being in this powerless position. On the other hand, I admire the power of such a large Jewish body. I admire that power. And I hope, and soon, as Ms. Mason say, I hope one day we come into that power. In fact, we are going to come into that power. Yeah. And while it is a hurt that has happened, a damage that has happened to me, at the same time, I look forward to the day that the black men have that type of power, that type of influence, and to move things like that. So while it's, we can see it both ways.
Good morning, Mount Airy.
Hello?
Yes.
Morning. My question is, what is the hide, the thing that you wear? See, I don't know anything.
I will be happy if you'll call me in my office at 581-5165. I don't want to take valuable time from my guest to explain my convictions. I'll be happy to discuss it with you.
Question, when you all say who we are, could you all tell us what you're talking about? Because I don't have to...
Well, I'm going to tell you something. His time is up. I don't keep a guest longer than an hour. I extended it a few minutes this morning because I interrupted his time with commercials.
Like the truth, you're saying we're Jews? You know, I don't know what you all are talking about.
Okay, well, you just keep listening, sweetheart, all right? Good morning. You're on WHAT, West Philly.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Salam alaikum to the brother.
Wa alaikum salam.
Number one, I'm a man and a black man, and from what I've heard thus far about the program, the denial and all this, I feel insulted. Not necessarily about what they done, but the fact that you did not take a position and state to the black males in the city of Philadelphia, look, I'm being threatened, watch my back. And I feel that under the circumstances, you're being threatened, and you're accepting an illusion of some mass group of people.
Okay, let me correct you, Mr. Delaney. No, I have gotten a lot of support from persons who've called me. I didn't have to say, come to my aid. My people came to my aid when they heard that I was up under attack. And I have not stepped back 1 inch, and I will not step back 1 inch. Here's a case where I'm
We're delighted to talk to Minister Haleem Asadi. Am I saying that right, sir?
Haleem.
Haleem.
Yes.
It's not Haleem. It's Haleem
Yes,
Asadi. What does that mean?
Haleem means one who is generous and giving of heart.
And Asadi?
One who roars with a lion voice.
All right, then we got the right guy in here. And you are a representative of a lost found nation of Islam?
Yes, ma'am.
What's the lost? You're lost, but you're found.
Yes, it is a spiritual term. It's a term that indicates that we were once a lost people, and after the coming of God, now we are found. And that's the official title of the lost found nation of Islam.
Now, you say the coming of God.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't say the coming of something else. You are a follower of...
Silas Muhammad.
Not Elijah Muhammad.
No, well, let me give a little history.
Please.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the inception, the beginning of the lost found nation of Islam. He is the person whom we believe met Almighty God Allah in the 1930s. Prior to him meeting Almighty God Allah, Master Farad Muhammad, we were a people disattached from our culture, knowledge of self, knowledge of our homeland, knowledge of our forefathers, and the concept of our God in which we believed in before we were brought here to this country. On his coming, finding us, reattaching us back to some of our customs, even our names. Thus we are now found on his coming. So thus the title Lost Found Nation of Islam. He raised up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to give us teachings. We received those teachings for a period of approximately 40 years. He passed, Mrs. Mason, in 1975. And on his demise, or his pass, or his deceasing, Silas Muhammad now stood up and re-established his teachings once again after his teachings was taken adrift by his own son.
Because I need to be educated, Silas Muhammad, is he a descendant of Elijah Muhammad?
In a spiritual sense, not a biological sense.
He's not like Herbert and Warren Jean, who are biological children.
Yes, ma'am. These are biological children.
But he is not Silas.
No, Silas Muhammad is born of the teachings, the spiritual teachings of Messenger Elijah Muhammad.
Now, are you with the section or the portion of the Muslim community who follows Minister Farrakhan or Minister Warren D. Muhammad?
Well, let us say it
or
this
neither.
Way. Let us say it this way, Mrs. Mason. We are all children, spiritual offspring from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That I understand, but
there are some disassociation. We don't have.
Yeah, there's a split in the Muslim community, and nobody seems to want to admit that. But there is a split. There's certain people on certain sides. Does not mean they're bad people. They just have different beliefs in terms of Honorable Elijah Muhammad not being alive any longer. Haleem.
Yes.
Minister Haleem.
Yes.
You don't look like a Muslim. Now, I said that to a rabbi one day. I had a rabbi in front of me, Rabbi Goldstein, and I said, you don't look like a rabbi. You know, people have this misconception that Muslims are all bow-tied, a bald head. You look a banker. you got on a conventional business suit and tie, and if you didn't tell me you were Minister Haleem, I'd say you're John Jones.
Well, Mrs. Mason, I'm quite honored you called me a banker. I wish I had the money. But Silas Muhammad teaches us that a Muslim is not so much what you see, it's what you do. It's your practice. If a person is allowed to walk with me in a day, they would see that I, as an individual, attempt to try to do right to myself, to my family, to my associates, and to even those who might not like me as well. So a Muslim is someone who practices and strives to be right and truthful in his conduct or in his speech. And that's the best way we believe to represent Muslim, living it.
Mr. Haleem, why is it that many men who go to prison as criminals, as bad boys, bad men, and all that, why do most of them come out Muslims?
Mrs. Mason, this is a phenomenon that has impacted upon the mind of the black man, woman, and child. I do have 2 prison programs I've started, one at Dallas State Correctional Institution and one as far as West Pittsburgh. And I get letters from men and women all over the state. It's something about Islam that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us that it seemed to have sunk deep into the mindset of the black man, woman, and child. And having been robbed of the knowledge of self, the knowledge of our culture, the concept in which we believed in God or Allah, having these things retold to us has been a fascination that has taken over the minds of many black men and women. In fact, to illustrate the effects of Islam upon the mind of the black man, woman, and child, you might find a young child in public school by the name of Ali Smith. It means that Islam has impacted upon that person who once taken the name Smith or Bob Smith. Now they're naming their children Ali, Akbar, Muhammad, and these type of names.
I love the Muslim names.
Yes,
I do. No, I really do, because I know where we all got our names from, and they're not really our names. I just think that the fact that the sound and the definition, I think, is what I like about them. I particularly like it when the young girl has changed a name to Muslim and knows what the meaning is and lives it.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, just to know that. Now, for instance, what does your first name mean?
Haleem, one who's generous at heart.
Now, that don't mean nothing to me unless you're generous at heart.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, to go around and name yourself Haleem just is a big deal.
Yes,
but the fact of the matter that you practice being generous at heart is, to me, very, very special.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You believe in the Holy Quran?
Yes, ma'am.
Then
we believe in the truth of the Holy Quran and Bible, by the way.
Okay, then let's dispel this myth that we discussed on this program time and time again as we get deeper into the beliefs of your community, your particular feelings. How many wives can you have?
We practice monogamy. Right now, there is a teaching, and I can't expose much about it right now, Miss Mason.
Why?
Because it's a very delicate subject.
I know. That's
and
why I want to get
there's
into
a lot of information that there's a lot of training that must take place with the man and the woman. Silas Muhammad teaches us that the role of the man and woman today in our society has been literally flip-flopped. Some of the things that the woman do in the home, the man should be doing. Some of the things that the man is doing in the home, the woman should be doing. So there's a training that must be given to these two individuals. That way we can put together a proper marriage structure, and then develop a family structure, and then develop a community structure, and on and on and on until we have a righteous government on this earth. And in as much as that is a very important subject, for the sake of clarity, I don't just want to just talk about it lightly, but right now we're not practicing having more than one wife.
So you don't have more than one wife?
No, ma'am.
Do you know anybody in your group that does have more? We need to. There are people who think Muslim men just go around marrying any woman they want to marry. I don't think that. And that's why I ask you that question. I mean, you know, can you just get with a woman, have some babies, and drop that woman and go marry another woman and get with another woman?
No.
That's not what I think the religion is all about.
No, ma'am, and it's surely not that. Marriage is one of the most important institutions to establish, not just for the existence of a government and a people, but for a home, the life of a home. So we don't take marriage lightly. Men in the Nation of Islam are not allowed to just go around and pick a woman, use the woman, and then now dismiss the woman. There is some obligations that he...
If they do that, are they chastised?
Well, what we do, we have practically a teaching on it, a actual class where a man and woman is brought together. Let me do it this way. In society which I came up, it was easy to go to the next door neighbor and date a girl. There was no rules we had. There was nothing that we agreed upon. And sooner we were now in the sack rolling around. This is the life that we knew or was taught. Silas Muhammad says that we should now more or less develop the relationship along the way and have something more binding than sex between the two individuals. There should be a development of the friendship and other things that a man should do in the home.
That's why you said there's a teaching.
Yeah, it is a teaching.
Before you get involved like that.
Yeah, it's a process.
So when you see these men who marry these women who have a wife and 2 or 3 kids, or have a girlfriend and 2 or 3 kids, and then next year they have a Muslim wedding and they marry. I mean, these guys are they just I don't want to say the word in front of you, Minister, but they're flopping around.
This is what has made it bad for all Muslims. Those who take the religion lightly and those who play with the process of life like that. Many of our learnings have come from out of the Eastern Hemisphere, the Orthodox way of teaching Islam. What the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us, Ms. Mason, was something to reform our people here in America, people who have undergone a particular type of slavery. They need a particular type of message to rescue them or reform them from that. 1,400 years ago, 1,000 years ago, crack was not even a question. But now you must have something that would be able to pull that mind out of that type of condition. So the message of Islam is a little different than it was given many, many years ago.
We're talking to Minister Haleem Asadi. He's a representative of the Lost Nation of Islam, and you are based here in Philadelphia.
Yes, ma'am. I'm the minister here.
Okay. Now, when we talk about your leader, your spiritual leader, whose first name is
Silas.
He's a human being.
Yes, ma'am.
He's a person. I mean,
yes, ma'am.
He is someone who is. And where is he headquartered?
Well, we're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia.
In Atlanta.
And we have corporate offices also there in Atlanta, Georgia.
Approximately how many followers are there under him at this time?
There's quite a few thousand that we know that's registered followers, probably more, because I get information of registration every day. And there's now numbers of supporters that you really could hardly tell how many persons to support him. But I could say this much, we do have well over 20 representatives in throughout America, and we have a few representatives in Africa and in the Middle East, and we have one in the Caribbean.
Now, tell us a little bit about, because there are people who get mixed up with this sect and the other. When is your ceremonies? When is your Sabbath?
Well,
if I make the mistake of saying the wrong word,
no,
I
understand. We have spiritual meetings Wednesday, Friday, and Sundays. Wednesdays at 8 p.m., Fridays at 8 p.m., and Sundays at 2 p.m.
What are your eating habits? Of course, you don't eat pork.
No, ma'am.
You don't eat what else?
There's other various numbers of things that's not as good.
But you're not vegetarian.
Some of us are.
But
I'm not.
But you can eat meat.
Yes, ma'am.
You can eat meat.
Other than pork, we don't. And then beef is not as good for you, but we do eat it. Chicken, it depends on how that chicken is raised. It might not be too good for you, but we eat chicken. But there are some weeds and things that we don't involve ourselves with.
You eat collard greens, I hope.
No.
No, you don't eat no collard greens? Boy, you know what you missed.
Well, I came up on collard greens.
Yes, Lord. As long as you don't put any pork in them. Minister, what about the women? You address, I mean, as I say, regular, on your way to the bank. What about the women in your group? Now, how do they dress? Do they dress like I dress now?
Yes, ma'am. I brought a couple of sisters with me. In fact, my wife is with me. And if you saw them, you would also perhaps believe that they might be a person in the corporate world as well.
I see.
What we ask
in other words, they don't have to wear their religion on them to be a follower and to believe in what you're teaching.
No, ma'am. Well, you have to give a woman freedom, justice, and equality, just like the man. And some women can be just. In fact, Miss Mason, I think you're one of the most glamorous women I've ever saw.
Well, thank you. Where's the church at? I'll be there tomorrow.
So that's what we ask of a woman, to dress in such a way that a man can be proud of her and look up to her and even follow her lead. So while the woman is not...
Say that again. A man can follow her lead?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, this is a new world now. We're in a new day.
Sure is a new world.
There are many, many intelligent black women.
Yes, there are.
In a marriage, sometimes the woman is more intelligent than the man, and you have to submit to that. You got
three recruits. You got three new members over here already.
Well, we're talking about freedom, justice, and equality, and the woman's mind. In fact, of all the minds that I've investigated, I think the woman's mind is the most progressive right now, as it relates to our condition, and even men have said this, how that the woman have brought us through slavery in that condition.
So the women do get respect.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
I mean, they're not there to make babies, make pies, and make love. They get respect for what you're saying.
And they can hold any office that they desire.
They can hold office.
Sure, they can hold. We have women ministers. We have women captains and other ranks, secretaries and the like. Because this is a religion in which we say that, a way of life, I should say, that the woman should be free to express herself as like a man. And as like a man is, there are some restraints on him in terms of being unkept, unfit, unrighteous. So too is the rules upon her the same way. But she's allowed to dress just as beautiful and modest as she can.
Your children, do they go to our public schools, private, parochial?
Unfortunately, they do.
You don't have a special school?
When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was living, he developed a school system called the University of Islam.
Yes.
And there was several numbers of them. And the students, the children of the mosque and the parents would send them to those schools. Those schools has now been, I'm going to have to say it this way, they have been now broken down or torn down. And those Muslim children now have been forced to enter back into the public school system. But we are now working on, or Silas Muhammad and his followers are working on now developing again a school system to teach our children.
There's a fine school that I had an opportunity to visit, the Claire Muhammad School here in Philadelphia. Would there be any of your children followers in that school, or they are not?
I've learned that some of them
They have a choice if they want to.
Yes, yes.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We're talking to Minister Haleem Asadi. We'll be back. Empathy.
All right, Mary and Minister, thank you very much. Good morning to you both. And I'll tell you, it's
probably the main reason that we asked you to come visit with us is that while I was on vacation, you had apparently, and you can correct us and jump in here, planned to give a speech at one of the buildings here, 3801 Market Street, where we go very often. And there were some signs out. You know the story better than I do. And tell us in a capsule, what happened there?
Well, of course, we had scheduled a program to be held July 25th, 1992 at 3801 Market Street. We had posted signs, of course, announcing the program.
You didn't by any chance bring one of the signs with you, did you?
No, I didn't. I thought I stuffed one in these folders, but I didn't, Mrs. Mason.
Okay.
And we raised the question on the poster. Well, that was the topic of the lecture, are Jews hiding the truth? And it was illustrated that it was just a question that we were asking. Along about Friday morning of the 24th, that's when I was called to a meeting at 3801.
By whom?
Management. And management stated their concerns to me. They had received threats from what they told me, the Jewish Defense League. The Jewish Defense League had mail threats and phone threats. And one of the officers of the management said to me that they even threatened a bloodbath. Along about, that was about noon on the 24th, which was that Friday. Along about 2 p.m. that afternoon, I got a call from one of the officers of the 3801, and that's when they notified me of cancellation. At which then time I had called a press conference for Saturday.
Had you paid for the building?
Everything was paid for. I had went there that Friday to make an additional purchase of a vending table, which was approximately $30. But other than that, everything else was paid in front.
Did the management at 3801 say who asked him to cancel, or was he canceling because of the threats that he'd seen?
They gave me the impression, and I'm speaking to a number of them, Mrs. Mason, they gave me the impression that the Jewish Defense League had threatened these type of threats, bloodbath, and they even sent a letter. They had a copy of the letter. They didn't give me a copy of the letter at the time, and I have not saw a copy of the letter that they received. I received a letter in the mail that Saturday morning, in my mail the Saturday morning. So
who did you receive a letter from?
Through the mail.
I mean, who from?
Well, here's a copy of it.
May I see
and I would have to say Jewish Defense League. I'm only saying that because that's what it's designated.
May I keep this?
Yes, ma'am. That's a copy of the letter that I received. And as I'm reading in this letter, I'm seeing that some of the things in this letter also has been reported in Friday's newspaper.
May I read this letter?
Yes, ma'am.
Nation of Islam, living in America, talking about Jews instead of blacks who burn down L.A. and who are killing each other and who are selling drugs to each other and who can't get jobs, but instead you have to talk about Jews who haven't done a damn thing to you. Well, boys, the 50 toughest and baddest JDL members will be waiting right outside of 3801 Market Street on 725 to talk about niggers and how niggers are poisoning the minds of their own people. You're nothing but a bunch of racist colored pigs, and we'll show you who's hiding the truth. See you July 25th, JDL, Israel Americans.
Now, that's what I received.
You received this in the mail?
In the mail.
On Friday?
No, that's the July 25th. That's the Saturday morning. They've already canceled the program now. When I was there Friday, management did inform me that they had received a threatening letter like this. But they did not give me a copy at that time, so I'm not looking at a letter at that time. In the meeting, they was telling me their concerns. One of the officers even went too far as to say that the Jewish Defense League is someone you don't play with. He's had dealings with them before. This is what they led me to believe was the reason that they canceled the program. And I have not heard anything contrary to that. But what I learned subsequent to the cancellation and the calling now of the Human Relations Commission, the Human Relations Commission has already met July 20, which was the Monday of that week. I'm finding this out Monday and Tuesday of the following week after the 25th, Mrs. Mason, which now leads me to believe, what did the Human Relations Commission have to do with the cancellation of the program? I got this article, the Friday's article out of the Inquirer, where some quotes were attributed to the officers of the Human Relations Commission, particularly Reverend James Allen. Reverend James Allen had not, at this point, on that Friday, had not contacted me. When I read the newspaper, I call now Reverend Allen, saying to Reverend Allen, there's some quotes attributed to you into the newspaper.
You spoke to him personally?
Yes, this is on the Friday now. They've already met Monday, Mrs. Mason. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
They already met with Jewish organizations and the police, license and inspection.
But not you.
But not me. On the Friday, when I get this article out of the Inquirer, I'm now wondering, well, how did Reverend Allen come to the conclusion that I was anti-Semitic, or the poster was anti-Semitic?
You have never talked to Reverend Allen prior to this day?
Prior to this Friday, yes, ma'am.
You phoned him?
I phoned him.
You
yes,
initiated the call?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak personally with Reverend Allen?
I spoke personally. Well, he returned the call, and I spoke personally to him. And I asked him, how did he come to that conclusion? In the conversation, he said to me that he put on, and I asked him also, Reverend Allen, why was I not present at that meeting? Because maybe I could have calmed the concerns of those involved before we got to the cancellation. He said to me, and his words was, he put on a strenuous search for me. And he sent Reverend Blanks over to Minister Rodney Muhammad's mosque to see if Minister Rodney Muhammad may know how to get in contact with me. I asked Reverend Allen, I said, Reverend Allen, did you see a copy of the poster? He said, yes. I said, well, my phone number's right on the poster. And at that point, he's now saying there was a gross oversight, which it was a gross oversight. Going back now to this conversation, I asked him that I wanted to have a hearing with these persons who have now charged me with anti-Semitism, and Kevin Vaughn as much as called me a liar. And I wanted to see these persons face to face now. And so
you had a conversation with Mr. Vaughn?
No, I have not had a conversation with Mr. Vaughn prior to this Friday conversation with Reverend Allen.
Why did you say Kevin Vaughn called you a liar?
I'm saying in the paper.
Oh, I see.
I'm saying he as much as called me a liar. He said it is provocative, it is defamatory, it will certainly be proven inaccurate. And
meaning your speech?
Yes, but he has not now know any contents of my speech. I haven't talked to Kevin Vaughn. In fact, I don't even know the man at this point. When I arranged
Did you release a copy of your speech?
I released a press release stating that we were having a controversial lecture.
But no contents of your speech?
And I still haven't done it. So I called Reverend Allen, arranged to have a meeting, which he arranged for the 29th of July, which was Wednesday past. That is the first time I saw Kevin Vaughn to his face. At that meeting, Kevin Vaughn led me to believe that he tried to make contact with me, which it catches his executive director in a little bind, because if Kevin Vaughn made contact with me and his executive director could not contact me because he didn't have my number, I wonder what communication were they having.
Okay, let's get it straight. Kevin is the executive director, Reverend Allen is the chairman.
Yes.
Okay, and neither one of them, in spite of the fact that your phone number was on the poster, which was distributed publicly, neither one of them called you.
No,
what happened at the 29th of July meeting?
Well, I stated to them what I felt was done to me. I felt that the city, working in behalf of a special interest group, city agencies was put into motion to crush the rights of one of its citizens. L&I, meeting on that July 20th meeting, L&I had employed the anti-graffiti network to go around tearing my posters down, which was not right. I found out in the article again that L&I was supposed to have warned me. I did not get notification from L&I of this warning until the Saturday morning of the 25th again.
What kind of warning are they talking about?
It was only a letter stating that I was not complying with the law in terms of posters, glue, and those type of things. But I did not get a call or a chance to at least make some type of agreement to take them down. Prior to the cancellation, though, the anti-graffiti network is going around tearing my posters down. And I'm saying now, I'm telling this body of persons, including several Jewish representatives there, I'm telling them that it seems appalling to me to see a special interest group have so much power where they can take city agencies and wind them up, crank them up, and wrench them in such a way that they would crush the rights of one of its citizens. And Reverend Allen seems to me to be a pawn in it in terms of being used like that, because he now issues statements against me, against my character, and against my program without no knowledge of it and without even as much as getting in contact with me.
Minister Asadi, who was in the meeting with Kevin Vaughn, Reverend Allen, and yourself?
We had Bert Siegel. I believe he's from the Black Jewish Coalition. I could be wrong. We had representatives from the Anti-Defamation League, B'nai B'rith. We had police representatives. We had an L&I person or official. We had a couple of city commissioners. We had several other groups. I have a list, but it was several.
Was Murray Freeman there?
Murray Freeman was not there. I had requested his presence. Scott Fiegelstein was not there. I had requested his presence. On the Friday morning, which was ironic, on the Friday morning when I got this article, I called Scott. And I said, I would like to personally invite you. This was before the cancellation notices come out. This was before that I met at the management at 3801. So that's my attitude. This is an exemplary of my attitude. I was not afraid to say, well, now, this is information that perhaps could be shared with Jewish people. So I went as far as to invite Mr. Scott, I hope I don't miss his name, Feigelstein, and Murray Freeman I could not contact. And later on, I'm now talking to Reverend Allen. And I'm
sorry. How did you come out of that meeting? When that meeting concluded, what was done? I mean, what was the...
Well...
What did you get out of it? What kind of commitment or admissions did you get?
I didn't get anything out of it. I felt when I left that meeting, I still felt that there were some other things that was going to be launched against me. I got a sour attitude from Illinois. This representative from Illinois, Mr. Resnick. Mr. Resnick sat at that table and attempted to stuff down my throat an alleged compromise he had supposed had made with me. And I said to him, Mr. Resnick, you have not made no compromise with me. And then I used that to illustrate how they had rammed and railroaded this program from the very beginning. If they had concerns, I would have been happy to address those concerns. I would have went and sat with them before. But now, we are now past that. They've already now shelved my program. And now I'm getting an opportunity. And not at their initiative, it was my initiative. I called Reverend Allen, now I'm getting a hearing.
Did 3801 return your money?
We're working on those things now. They were very willing. And I want to...
Wait. They have not returned your money yet.
We're working on those things now. There is a commitment that we have to one another that those things will be taken care of.
Meaning, will you get your money, or will they give you a new date?
Well, we're working on. We're on the table compromising. We might have those a date, and we might have our money back. The decision is in their court right now.
Which do you want?
I like another date.
And they have not decided yet that they will give you a date.
Yes, ma'am. They have not decided yet. At least I haven't got the message yet. I've talked to officers of 3801. And there is a feeling in my heart because this is my belief, Mr. Mason. I have to express it this way. Here is a black entrepreneurship. They're a business. And they want fair play. They want to come up. They want equality in the business area. And I see that as a branch for the black people. That's our people. It's a success for our people.